welcome to another Deco Designs video. Right now I am cycling over the motorway and I'm heading to the hengelose estate in Hengelo. This is an estate that was built in the 1960s and designed by the famous architects Van den Broek and Bakema. And I'm basically cycling through the estate with my GoPro camera on my chest, and I'll basically show a bit of the area, what it looks like. And yeah, there is a nice surprise at the end. For those who like elevators, I've got a nice trick up my sleeve. So I've just crossed the motorway. That's the A1 motorway from Amsterdam to Berlin, basically. I've mentioned that motorway in a few other videos before. And right now I'm cycling in the Woestag Park. That's a park between the north and the center part of Hengelo. The motorway basically separates the northern part of the city from the rest, essentially. And right there in the distance you can already see one of the flats. If you think why is everything so shaky and why am I rocking? Well, that's because I'm cycling rather fast, and the GoPro kind of gives you that motion sickness effect, essentially. You see it's a bit steadier now because I was going a little bit slower. Oh, now I'm speeding up again. So I was filming this on a Sunday afternoon, or maybe it was a morning, it was last week, and decided, hey, let's have a look at the hengelose S, because they're still not done with demolition work, because they had some issues with asbestos, but I may come to that later. So here's the first area of flats. These flats are split level flats, and they're essentially single family houses stacked on top of each other. And if you pay close attention, you'll see that there's a lot of trash laying around. That's because the residents don't really give a damn about their environment, and sometimes they are very low income groups and they can't afford to pay the municipality taxes for the waste disposal, I guess. So they're just very lax, and they just dump all their garbage besides the dumpster instead of in the dumpster. This is a flat we're going to enter later. And well, that's the entrance. The entrance is not original. They have modernized the building somewhere in the 90s. And here's one of the streets in the sky kind of thing. It's sort of a walkway that connects the different apartment buildings. These low-rise flats originally did not have any lifts in them. So they had to use the lifts in the high-rise apartments, and that basically connects them. So we're heading now to the second flat, and well, all those flats are essentially the same. This second flat also has a additional elevator at the back. If you look closely, you can see a couple of glass elevators there on the low-rise flats. Those were added in the early 90s. They are not original. But that big flat on the right also has a similar elevator. You can actually see that in one of my previous videos. And they basically added 2 additional elevators to the building, even though it already has 2 existing elevators. In the end of the video I am going to film the lifts in one of the high-rise flats. So this is a part where there used to be low-rise housing, That was demolished in 2012 and 2013. Most of the low-rise housing is gone now, and the houses you saw there on the left were newly built in the 90s. They are private-owned houses, and they are not community housing like what there used to be there. Um, in fact, a lot of the low-rise houses have been demolished. So, and this is the third flat, the third high-rise. This is also one of the flats that's going to be modernized. They're going to renovate them. And that low-rise flat is going to be demolished. As you can see, it's already boarded up. My dad actually used to live in that high-rise flat in the early 70s, before I was born. And he left there because it was already a bad neighborhood back then. And well, as you can see, it's a bit of a sorry affair here with all those houses boarded up. And well, some of the apartments are accessible from a street level. And on top of that is another apartment, and that's accessible from the walkway on the second or third floor. The high-rise flats essentially have the same design, except they have garages at the ground floor, and are all split level. There's another staircase with elevator. I'm not entirely sure if that one is original or not. I think the staircase part is, but the elevator was probably added later. Anyway, that is also boarded up. So we're walking a bit further, and this is another view from the same building essentially. And let's see where we're heading now. I think we're now heading to the low-rise houses that are still not demolished yet. I made a video about those houses a year ago, and well, at the time they expected them to be demolished soon, but well, they had some major setbacks in asbestos removal. It turned out that the houses were not really identical. Some of the asbestos was not all in the same place, and there were variations between the dwellings, even though they appear similar. So they had to do a very thorough investigation before they can restart the demolition. From what I've heard, they're actually going to restart the demolition soon. And well, then they will build new low-rise housing. And well, if the demolition starts, I'll keep you posted. I will make a video then. So we're now heading to a little bit closer to the town center, basically to the other part of the estate. The low-rise housing that you see there is also built in the 90s, and again, that used to be also part of the same plan. It also used to have those low-rise houses, but they have long been demolished. They were demolished in well, around the late 90s essentially. And well, there used to be a lot of them. It was a really huge neighborhood of all the same houses. So we're now heading back to the second flat, and that second apartment building, that second high-rise, has a very nice painting on the side of the building, and that painting was created not so long ago. It's actually fairly recent. And if we turn the corner, I think we'll see a picture of it. Yeah, there in the distance. If you look closely in the distance, you can vaguely see it. Oh, now we've actually passed it. So we're now heading back to the starting point essentially. And if you look on your right, you can see that the low-rise flats have a walkway on the second, oh, no, sorry, on the third floor. And well, the high-rise is on the left, and then I'm up to no good. Oh yeah, we're going to check it out. First, let's get there. So we just cycle a bit over the sidewalk. And as you can see, it was a very nice and sunny day actually. It's almost hard to believe that this is mid-December, but at the moment it's extremely warm for the time of year. It's just a temperature record almost. It's just unbelievably warm. So there's an emergency staircase, and it's a pretty scary staircase because it's very narrow. And well, I'm a bit afraid of heights. I just didn't want to go to the top. Some people actually jumped off this thing. There have been some cases in the past where people walked all the way to the top and simply jumped off the building. So here's the first walkway. That's well, the door is closed, so I can't sneak in there. But then we'll go up to the next one, and the next one is somewhere on the third floor. And it was very smelly, just ugly and smelly, because well, as you can see, everything's grotty and people just dump their waste on the emergency stairs and in the galleries and whatnot. So it's about here where I started to smell garbage. It's just so bleh, disgusting and grotty. So there's a garbage bags. And well, that's kind of a sign how neglected this place is, because that fire door isn't closed properly. Hey, hello! Now we can sneak inside. Let's go covertly inside the building and act like Sam Fisher or Solid Snake and just sneak the hell in there and have a little play with the lifts. Oh yeah. And this gallery connects two different levels. Apartments above the gallery and apartments below the gallery. Well, that's well, rather efficient, I would say. Just behind that door, yes, I'm grabbing my smartphone here, because I also filmed the lifts with that, but I decided to scrap that footage because the GoPro footage of the lifts was better to my content. And these lifts are kone lifts, and they are not the original lifts. They have been completely replaced at some point, and these are kone lifts with vandal resistant fixtures. And as you can see, there is a security camera, because the housing organization doesn't trust their own inhabitants and their own people, and so they have everything on camera. Yeah, this is one of those CCTV monitored flats. So, well, the fixtures, as I told before, are vandal resistant kone fixtures, and by the looks of it, these lifts were probably replaced in the early 2000s, maybe in the late 90s. They're definitely not original. Also, they run in a set. These two lifts stop at all floors, and well, there are only 5 stops. The ground floor, and then the first gallery, the second gallery, the third gallery, and the fourth gallery, and that's about it. So the controller is also very simple. And well, I bet that originally the lifts would have been without inner doors, but I've never seen the original lifts, but it's just an educated guess. I'm pretty sure that's how they used to be. So that was it, and now let's get the hell out. Now we reached the exit, the ground floor entrance, and first I was struggling to get out until I found the button. So, I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.